I'm happy to open the questioning unless there's something either of you would like to say in response to what the other said.
I would like to give you the floor.
Okay.
To ask a question.
In 2002, people identified as Islamic militants murdered Dr. Pearl's son. On 9/11 of the previous year, Islamic militants, people identified that way, murdered my own nephew, who was a passenger on the first plane to hit the World Trade Center. And we know of many other instances of terrorism blamed on Islamic militants. So, Dr. Ahmed, help the audience and understand why Dr. Pearl and I, and others whose families have suffered in this way, should not simply be furious with Islam. And then, Dr. Pearl, I'd like your response.
Bill, that's a very legitimate sentiment more than a question. Anyone who loses a loved one blames some religion, ideology, culture that produces the killer. I had a cousin who died in New York on 9/11. It's very often forgotten that there were several hundred Muslims who also died. It's very easy to begin to lump together 19 terrorists with the whole civilization. And this is what unfortunately we've done. It's important to remember what I've just said, the statistics. When you have 1.4 billion people, there'll be lots of murderers, lots of terrorists, lots of psychotic characters in this civilization. I would look at it differently, Bill, for you not to get mad at the world of Islam, apart from the fact it's not good for your health. And we do want to keep you. I know what a legendary character you are in Kansas. We want to see you living at least up to 150. I would look at it like this, as I have done in my book, Journey into Islam, that there are basically three distinct models in play. There is the mystic, universalist model of Islam, very much there. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Muslims are mystic universalists within the Islamic tradition.
The Sufi tradition.
The Sufi tradition. At dinner, I was talking to the Reverend Eugene. He was with me last year at Norman in Oklahoma. We were with the Gulen movement. These are Sufis. Rumi is a Sufi. Rumi says, I go to the synagogue, I go to the church, I go to the mosque. I see the same spirit and the same altar. Now I ask you, Bill, are you lumping Rumi and these mystics with the murderers? And if you are then letting yourself down, not them. It is your failure. And you have to check yourself. And that is the tragedy, I believe, of your reaction. You have to say, here is great emotion in me, there's anger, understandable. But I must try to understand. Because if I don't understand, A, I will not be able to really begin to grasp what happened. And B, maybe I'm going to make it worse for myself and the Muslim world, which I'm afraid is what is happening. Not many people are asking this in a rational way. Second model, so that's the mystic. The second model, and this is important, that's why I want to take a few minutes to go into this. The second model is the modernist. The modernist is essentially a Muslim who is a Muslim within his own tradition, who is a Muslim with the integrity for his faith, but wants to live with the West, wants to synthesize with the West. The Muslims you have here in Kansas, like Dr. Hedri, Umar, and these wonderful spouses of theirs who are very involved in this whole peace movement, they're essentially the modernists. They're American, they're also Muslim. They're proud to be Americans, they're proud to be Muslim. They don't really see it as a conflict. Like the Jews or the Christians or the Buddhists who are Americans and Jews and Buddhists and so on. They have synthesized the two and they're comfortable. Then there's the third category. And what I'm saying, by the way, is based on years and years of research and questionnaires and surveys. The third category is the literalist. The literalist / orthodox. Now the literalists believe, I want you to follow this very carefully, they believe that Islam is under attack. that Islam is being violently attacked and it must be defended and will be defended, and that they will give their lives defending it. Now, not all of them, and I want to underline this, not all of them believe in violence. But from this model grows a belief of a world in turmoil. Us versus them. Black versus white. We have the truth. We have the all-encompassing truth, and only we have the truth. And therefore, this model inspires people like the Taliban. If you ask the Taliban, what do you think of the Sufis? They will probably say, where are they? Tell us, we'll throw stones at them. If you say, what do you think of the modernists? They'll say, where are they? We want to assassinate them. If you say, where are the literalists? They will say, we are the literalists. So you've got three distinct models. Don't lump them together. You're seeing the Muslim world right now in play and the interaction of the models. Take what's happening in Pakistan right now as we speak. The third model, the literalists have taken over parts of Swat, where my wife comes from, a very peaceful, settled area of Pakistan. They've actually taken it over. They're closing the girls' schools, which her grandfather, who was the ruler of the state of Swat, opened. This was the pride of his life as the ruler. These girls' schools, every 1 mile there was a girls' school. These religious fanatics have closed the girls' schools. They're trying to blow up the statues of the Buddha, which have lasted 2,000 years. They have closed the video shops, and the television screens are all shattered, and they've closed all the barber shops. Why? Because every male must have a beard. So Judea can visit Swat, I can't. Rules. These are the rules. I'm sorry, Judea, but I think you're going to be... He's as popular with the Muslims as he is with the Jewish community. This is what they're doing in Swat right now. So the challenge is within the Muslim world. It's the challenge, not yours, Bill, but of the Muslims, to somehow emerge from this dark night, emerge and take its place, the Muslim world, in the community of nations. So you're seeing Benazir Bhutto representing modernist Islam, fighting her corner. And I'm not making a political statement, but she is fighting. She's showing a lot of courage, almost blown up a few days ago. Now she's under house arrest. And how it's all going to end, I'm not so sure. We are seeing in Gaza and the West Bank, again, different kinds of Islam clashing. So you're seeing a world civilization plunged into chaos. Now from that chaos comes, Danny Pearl, you had 9/11, and you'll have many more incidents like this. We here in the United States have two clear choices. We can say, as Bill reflected very correctly, a lot of people felt this, something attacked us, we attack it back. So we take a base of 2,000 or 3,000 people who initially wanted to attack America, and by blindly attacking it, we increase that base now to not thousands, but hundreds of millions now, literally. That base is now so wide that when I traveled in the Muslim world, I pointed out the anti-Americanism was frightening. And at times, I had these American students with me. At times, I would find it very uncomfortable to be sitting with 1,000 people, and I wasn't sure how we'd be received, because I would, in my conversation, talk very frankly with them. I talk about my friends among the Americans. I talk about the Bishop John Chain of Washington, Senior Rabbi Lustig. I talk about Judea Pearl. I'd even talk about the Chief Rabbi of the United Kingdom, who was a friend of mine. It would make an impact, because Muslims had never met an American before, or had heard anything like this about rabbis. They talked to my young American friends and colleagues, and they'd begin to interact. And suddenly they'd say, we've never talked to an American before. So this process of dialogue and understanding must transcend our immediate emotional responses if we are to move the goalpost. If we are not, we are heading for confrontation.